Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube video. In this today's video we are going to learn something very trendy in Angular, which is signals. Signals are an important concept in Angular, and understanding them how they work can greatly enhance your development experience. Okay, so in this video we will take a closer look at what signals are, how they work in Angular, and how you can use them to improve your application's performance and functionalities. So throughout this video we will provide examples and real world use cases to help you better understand how signals can be used in your Angular project. Okay, so by the end of this video you will have a solid grasp of signals in Angular version 16 and how they can help you to build better applications. Okay, so if you are ready to take your Angular development skills to next level, so sit back, relax, and let's dive into the Angular signals. So let's first take a look at the application what we have developed here. So here you can see this is a simple add to cart application where we can click on this button add to cart to add item in the cart. Okay, so once I click on this 1, 2 and 3, you can see the data is getting updated real time that I have added 3 items in the cart. Okay, so once I will go in this cart, so here you can see the 3 items which I have added, and here you can see that subtotal as well for these 3 items. Okay, if I try to remove one item, so you can see this value and the subtotal will get changed based on the data what we have here right now. So we have 2 items and subtotal is 132, and here you can see the number 2 as well. Okay, if I try to remove all of them, so you can see the item becomes 0 and it says cart is empty, and this is what we have stated in this application. Alright, so let me just show you the code as well, how the code looks like. Alright, so here you can see, first of all, to make use of signal, right, let me just tell you for that what we need. So we have to be on Angular version 16 plus. So I know Angular version 16 is not released, but what you can do, right, you can install the what we say that version 16 preview. So how to do that? It's easy, just say ng, what the ng command what we have used, right? So ng update or all that. So let me just show you the command as well. So it is npm install @angular/cli and then you can just say next. So this will install the preview version for Angular in your project. Okay, so once you are on this version 16.0, then only you can make use of signals, or else if you can wait for another week. So anyway, Google is going to release version 16 in the first week of May. Okay, so now let's just take what we have in the application now. So in the app, right, we have 3 components. We have cart, we have header, and we have product list. So what are we going to do, right? We are going to share data between this unrelated components, because I have no parent-child relationship. So you have seen this in interview as well, right? They ask you how to share data between unrelated components. So the answer is always, you guys say that by creating a service and behavior subject. So this is what I have did in my application as well, that I have made use of behavior subject to share the data between the unrelated components. Alright, so this is what my cart service looks like, where we have cart items, subtotal and total items as my observables. Okay, and this data is getting used inside product list, header and cart. So if you go in the cart, right, so we are making use of the cart service dot cart items. So we are making use of this observable here, and we are using async pipe to do the subscription. Okay, same for total items as well, which you see on the top, where we are showing the total items in the cart. Okay, so this is how I'm using it in the cart dot component.html. And if you go in the header as well, right, so here you can see the badge which shows in the red that how many items is there in the cart. And if you go in the product list, right, so here I'm using it in the list of product, where I have API/products, and this API is coming from API service, which is here. Okay, so in the API service I'm doing a get call, and I'm trying to fill and make this as an behavior, like an observable of I product of an array. So I product array, which is my interface. This is how the model looks like. Okay, so this was all about the application which we have built by using we used to do, right, by using RxJS, how we used to develop. But now in version 16, once the version 16 is here, so we have a different way to implement the same things. Okay, so let's have a look how we can do that by making use of signals. Okay, so most of the changes will be done in your cart service. So let's go in the cart service.ts. Okay, all right, so now what we will do, right, so here we don't create any observable, so we are going to create signals instead. So let's create our first signal called as public cart items. Okay, so guys, there is difference between this dollar and this. Dollar means that this is an observable and this means a normal signal. Okay, so we will say signal. Can you see on the top it is coming from Angular/core, and here we can just pass the signal initial value of the signal, which is empty. Alright, signals are generic, so you can also pass the data type, how the signal will look like. So let's go ahead and provide that. It is of type iProduct of list. Okay, so in this way we have created our first signal. So this is the cart item, is our first signal. Alright, now what we can do with this cart item. So once we are adding anything in our person will click on add to cart, right? So we want to update the cart items. Okay, so how we can do that, correct? So to do that, right, so let's create the first method, add product. Okay, add product using signal, maybe add product using signal. Or add product signal. Let's make it like this. Okay, add product signal, and in this what we will do, right, we'll just say this dot cart item dot mutate. So this signal actually gives us this method called as mutate, and this mutate will help me to update my cart. Okay, so there is any change in my signal, right, so this guy can handle that. So mutate, so we can just create a callback function, okay, with the value. Okay, and this value, right, we can go ahead and add, we can just change. So what we'll do, right, we'll just say the existing signal, which is val dot push. Okay, so we are going to push an item called as product. So let's go ahead and add this product. So this, let's copy this method and just add inside this. So what are we doing right now? We are not using this method. So what we will do, right, so we'll just say add product signals. This is the product which user will pass, and this cart item will get mutated. So this signal will get mutated, and we are going to push an extra item inside the signal. Okay, all right. So now this add is ready. So now we need to do the same for your remove. Okay, so let's do that remove. So we'll say here remove item, or remove product signal. I know the names are not looking good, but yeah, we are just here to understand the concept. Okay, so now what we will do in the remove, so again we are going to make use of mutate, which will help me to do that. So I'll say this dot cart item, which is my signal, and I can say mutate. Okay, in the mutate I'll have my value, and this val is my signal. Okay, and in this val what I am supposed to do, right, I am going to remove. So I'm going to remove that item from that cart. So what user will send, right, user will send the ID of the index, from that he need to remove the cart item, and I'll say val dot splice. Okay, what I want to splice, I want to splice that ID of the index which he will send and remove one item from it. Okay, so in this way we can add a product by using signal and remove the product by using signal. Okay, but how is it, so let's try to just see it in the demo, like how it actually going to work. So this method we are going to replace now. So this method was used in product list. So let's go in the product list component, and here we can just remove this guy, and we can just say add product signal. Okay, add product signal. Let's save it. And now in the remove, right, we need to go in the cart component dot html, and here we can say, right, remove product signal. Okay, so now we have these two. Let's see, yeah, the compile success. Let's see if it is anything is working for now. I click on add, I click on add. Nothing is changing, correct? There is no change in our application. Why? So this is because what we need to do, right, so our signals is changing, right, but we are not notifying anything. For example, our expectation was that whenever we click here, right, so we need to update this count, correct? So let's see where is this count is present. So if you go in your header component, So let's go in header component.html, and you can see right here we have this guy. We have this cart service.total item, which is using your observable. So we need to update this guy as well. So what we can do, right? So in signals there is something called as computed. Okay, so there is something called as computed. So what we will do, right? We'll create the another variable called as total item. Okay, total items equals to, we have this computed method. Again, this is coming from Angular/core. And what this computed will do, right? So it will perform some calculation based on what you have, like what the signal has got updated. Okay, so based on that it will do that job. So what we will do, right? So it will say this dot cart items, which is my signal, dot length. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. We are going to save this. So now if I hover, right, so I can see I have created a new signal called as number, signal of a number. All right, and in the same way we have to do for subtotal as well. So for subtotal, what we will do, right? Again, let's click make that subtotal. Okay, subtotal, and we will say again computed, and inside that there we have to perform a calculation. We'll say this dot cart items. Okay, cart items is my signal. That's why we are making this bracket, because this is a signal. Cart items dot reduce. Okay, so we have to perform the calculation as well. So we have previous value and then we have current value. Okay, previous comma current. So I'm just making use of reduce function to do the calculation, like addition of all the total items. Okay, so this is going to be of I product, and then we can make this callback like this. And if we are making use of reduce, so we have to provide an initial value. So I provide 0, and what I will return, right? For returning, I'll say return previous value plus current value dot price. So we are going to add all the prices. So suppose I have added 5 items, so it should calculate the subtotal by adding the prices. Okay, so let's save the changes. So now I have created two different signal again. One is subtotal and another is total items. Okay, so let's go ahead and use these signals here. So now I don't need to make use of this behavior subject or this async pipe. I can just remove this, and I can just say that total items, okay, and add a bracket. Why bracket? Because this guy is a signal. Okay, same thing I have to do it in the product, I guess in the cart. So let's go in the cart component.html, and we will be having subtotal somewhere, yeah, just down here. And now we don't need this again, so we can remove this async and dollar, and we can say this is my signal. So if I save the changes and if I go in our application, so once I click on add, can you see my data is getting updated by 1, again 2 and 3. And once I click on this guy, right, I can see, oh, still it is empty, but can you see I have a 3 count. Why it is empty? Because let's see the reason. So if you go in your application, right, if you go in the cart list.html, sorry, cart component.html, so we are making use of observable, correct? But we are not going to use that. So we will be replacing all these observables and behavior subject by signals. So what we can do here, that so we have to update this value. How we can do that? Again, by creating a cart items. Okay, so we have already created a cart item, so we can remove this, and now this will be our subject, which the signal what we have created. So let me just show you here in the cart service. So this is what the cart items are. So this is a signals of list of I product. And now if I save the changes, if I go back, if I click on add, and add 3 items added, click here, oh, it's still empty. Okay, let's try to fix this. What is this issue? I know what is the issue is. So let's go here and see, this is the problem, because we have a ng if condition which is failing. Like if there is total item, then it will show this, else it will show no item, and no item is an ng template just down here. So that's why it is showing cart is empty. So what we can do, we need to just fix this. How we can do, just remove this async again, cart items, which means if this guy dot length, If signals has any value greater than 0, then it will be true and this will show the cart item list. So now let's go back. Okay, let's see why. Okay, this is total items. I'm so sorry. Again, I have to change it to cart items. Okay, cart items. Save the changes, dot length, and now we can see. So once I add 3 items, go here, you can see here 3 items, and these 3 items are coming from your signal. Okay, if I try to remove this, right, so can you see the calculation is also getting updated, removed, it's 0 and back to normal. Okay, in this way we have seen like how we can. Now let's go and just try to refactor your code. Now let's try to remove all the unnecessary things and see how better is it by without using an observable. So let me remove this cart items, no need, remove this subtotal, no need, and we also don't need this guy. Okay, and no need of this as well. So now we have 3 signals created: cart item, subtotal, and total. So no need of this method anymore because we are not using it. No need of remove product as well, we are not using it. And now we don't need this as well. So because now we don't need to expose our what we say that the updated item into next as an observable. So no need of this method as well. See, just by adding signals, how we have just refactored our code. As now no need of behavior subject as well. So now you can just see the changes by your eyes, like how good to use signals and update your state in your component. Okay, so we can also do one more very interesting thing, that rather than taking all this from an observable, we can also take this from an signal. So we can also create an observable into a signal. So we have that feature as well added in version 16. So let me just show you that. So if you go in your API service, right, so in the API service you are doing this, making this observable. So this is your observable. So now what you can do, right, so here you can just say public product is equals to, you just have to say to signal. Okay, to signal. And if you go on the top, right, so this guy has been imported from angular/core/rxjs/interops. Okay, so we can make use of this now, and we can just say here to signal. So we are trying to create a signal from an observables. Okay, so let's try to create the type as well of this type. And what we can do, right, we can just call this. We can call, because this guy returns what, an observable, and now this observable we are trying to convert into a signal. So no need of this products anymore. And if I hover on this products, so you can see, right, this is my signal of I product, list of I product. Okay, and this we can also update in your product list.html. So no need of using any async and observable. Just remove this /async from your product list.html and just make this something like this as a signal. And if I save the changes, and now you can see still we have the list of product which we have just converted into a signal. And if I click on add, I can see they are getting updated here, and also I can see them in the cart. Remove, and remove. So everything remove and cart is empty. Okay, so this is the beauty of using a signal, by which we can also convert an observable into a signal. Okay, by any chance if you need to reconvert it, so again we have one more thing coming from this import, which is to observable. So we can also make use of to observable to make an existing signal into an observable. Again, you just need to do the same thing. It's just like this. You can just say public products of $, and you can just say to observable, and in that you just need to pass your source signal, which is your product. Okay, so this guy will convert your signal again into an observable of I product. Okay, so this is also possible by using signal. Okay, in version 16 of Angular, to be very precise. Okay, so now let's try to see the one more benefit, and this is, you can say, this is the bonus which I'm trying to provide you. Why this signal is so beautiful, or like why is it so important to everyone to learn in Angular version 16. Let me show you one of the very good feature. Like for example, we have this talk left. Okay, let me show you the API first, how the API looks like. Okay, so if you go in the network tab, if I refresh the page, so here you can see, right, in this API, let me zoom it a bit. If I can, yeah, I can. Okay, so here you can see, right, in the ratings, in that we have account 120. So what my requirement is that whenever I'm clicking on add, so can you see 2 items I added for the same item, because the API don't provide anything in terms of quantity. So we don't have any quantity, so we are not updating any quantity here. So what we can do, but here, right, suppose I have clicked this 3 times, which means 3 items added, the same item has been added. I want to remove, or I want to just decrement the stock left. Can you see I have 3 items added? If I again remove, so at least I have 1, right? So it should be 119, correct? So we need to update all of this as well. So how we can do that? Let's see. So by using Signal again, right, this is possible. So what we will do, right, so whenever we are adding a product, so let's see that. So let's go in your cart service, cartservice.ts. okay, and now whenever we are adding any item, so let me first try to make use of my constructor. So I need to add my constructor here, because we will be injecting the API service. So I'll say private API service, and in this we have the product, right, the product signal. So what I will do, right, I'll say this dot API dot product, okay, product signal. In that let me use of this for each loop, and in that for each I'm trying to update the quantity. So what I will do, right, I will say if my ID is matching with my product ID, okay, so what I will do, right, I'll say a dot rating dot count. I'm going to decrement it, so I'll say a dot rating dot count -1, correct? So once I add any item, right, I want to decrement it by -1. I just want to remove one item, because that's what I'm doing, adding one by one. Okay, same thing I have to do it for remove item as well. So let's try to do it. So first what I'll just take the product here, so const product, which I'm removing. Okay, product equals to this. So now what I can do, right, I'll say if my API, no, first of all let's do the API. So I can copy paste the same logic. Okay, let's copy this and paste it here. So now in the place of product, you just need to make use of product. So this is an array, right? So I can make use of the first element, because anyway we are removing item one by one, so it's fine to use it like this. Okay, so first element, if the ID is matching, so what I'll do, right, if I'm removing the item from the cart, then I want to add it in the count. Okay, so let's save the changes. Okay, and this is what I have just did. Now let's go back on your web. Yes, so here you can see if I'm trying to add, right, can you see this item is getting updated. Again, if I add, so 3 items added from this product. Again, if you add this, right, can you see 2 items from this. Again, if I click add, right, so it becomes 1 item from here. So we have total 6 items. Can you see here 6 items? Okay, if I remove, right, if I remove 1, 2, 3, right, it is all getting updated. Remove and remove 0, right? Now if I go here, again they are all again to the same quantity, which is 259, 500 and 120. So let's take a look at this, because this is a good number to have a look. It's 500. If I add 2 items, it's 498. If I remove 1, so it should be 499. So let's see, yeah, it is 499. Again, if I go back, if I remove the last also, now it is again back to 500. And in this way, right, we are trying to maintain our state from one component to another component. That's how we are trying to maintain our state throughout our Angular application by using signals. And trust me, if you have to do it by using RxJS, you can do that, but again it will require a lot of things to be coded, this, there, again use async pipe and all those. But by using signals, we are not doing anything much. By writing less code, we are achieving a lot of things what we used to do previously. Alright, so this is all about signals in Angular with an actual example. Okay, if you have still doubt, right, why is this signal better, so let me just show you one small diagram as well, just for your understanding. So what was happening before, like this is Angular version 15, I can just say that this is Angular version 15 and less. So this is Angular version 15 and the lower versions. So this is what it was happening. So whenever there was change, right, so Zone.js used to trigger, okay, so there is a change. So what happens, right, it will run the change detection for all of this component, for all the entire component tree. So CD was running, so change detection was running. So Zone.js just say, right, hey, there is a change. So CD was getting, so this tree was getting updated and CD was getting triggered for all the components. And this is bad, right? So I'm just considering for now only like 9 to 10 components, but in actual Angular application there is more than hundreds of Angular components. So at that time it will again re-render everything and it will run the change detection for all the components, which is really not good. I know some of you will say that, hey Shashi, I will go ahead and use on push and do all of those steps. That's correct, but again, for majority of thing, right, so we can just try to avoid all of those change detection, unnecessary change detection, by making use of signals. Okay, so in version 16, right, once we have these signals, right, so whenever we make use of this set, update and mutate, right, so what it does, right, it actually notify all your consumers that, hey, there is a change, please go ahead and do that. So there is also like I use compute, right, compute. So compute, what it does, right, compute always go and check, okay, there is a change, I want to recalculate my stuff. So it's go and it notifies that and it does the changes based on the new signal. Like once you have that signal, it does the update. So this guy is not triggering the change detection, so by which we are trying to save, so by which we are trying to increase the performance by not actually calling the unnecessary change detection for this particular component where we are using signal. Okay, so this was my reason, like, okay, that's why I was so much excited to come up with this video where I have actually explained you about signals by showing you the real demonstration. Okay, so we haven't created any application like increment and decrement to explain you, but this is what an actual, once we have signals in version 16, how we can make use of them in our project. Okay, and I hope that this video has actually helped you to understand signal to some extent, like how you can make use of this in your enterprise level application. Alright, so that's it from this today's video where we have covered about signals in Angular. If you still have any doubt related to this, hey Shashi, still it's not clear, you can just tell me in the comment section what is your doubt. So I will be definitely gonna like reply back to you guys if whatever good solution I can give you in the comment section, or else you can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn. There we can also discuss about your problem if you have any. Okay, and do not worry about code as well. I will be pushing this code on my GitHub. You can just go ahead and do, like, you can just fork it from here and they can actually try to test it in your system as well. And I hope you will give a star to that GitHub repo as well. I would highly appreciate it. Okay, so if you haven't followed my GitHub profile, you can just go on this link, github.yshashi. There you can see all of my repo is there. So you can just find all my repo, your 92 repo which I have created. You can just access them and you can learn a lot of things from there as well. Okay, so I will be pushing the code on my GitHub repo. Do have a look there and let me know if there is any feedback from you guys. So that's about it from this video and I hope you have liked it. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. See you guys in the next video. Till that time, bye bye and keep learning, guys.